Welcome to the All About Real Estate Marketing podcast. My name is Nina Doiron and I'm your host. If you're a real estate professional or investor, this is the podcast for you. I think you'll agree with me that a house is likely the largest financial asset for the majority of the population. And like any other product, it needs to be marketed in order to attract the right buyers so that it can sell faster and sell for more. So the objective of this podcast is really simple. It's to share with you the greatest marketing strategies and tactics in order to help you set your property apart from its competitors, and of course, ultimately to help you grow your real estate business. Hi, welcome back to the All About Real Estate Marketing podcast. I'm so excited to have a special guest with us today. Leni Espiritu, I hope that I pronounced that correctly. I forgot to ask her actually, is a former staging client of ours. And she is a super busy mom and an executive. And so I'm even more delighted that she made the time to join us today. The reason why I wanted to have Leni as our first guest is because of two reasons. First, because she is a professional marketer and in fact a marketing executive for one of Canada's oldest brands actually. Second, because she's experienced staging firsthand and will be sharing her perspective on this high demand marketing strategy with us in this episode today. So let's have a listen, okay?
Hi, good morning. How are you, Leni?
I'm good. Hi, Nina.
Hi. How's the new house, by the way?
Oh, we love it. There's no complaints.
Yeah, you've been there for a little while now, right?
Yeah, I've been there, I think it'll be coming to 2 years, like this month.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow, that was really fast. That was really fast. Yeah, so for our audience, the reason why I invited Leni to as a guest on our show here, on our podcast show, is because not only is Leni a client, but she is also a practicing marketing professional as well. And so as a former client, I know a little bit about Leni, but for our listeners, they don't know about you. So Leni, why don't you tell our audience a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Sure. Well, I think I'm a pretty just normal person. I'm 37 years old. I'm a mom of two rambunctious little kids, a 6-year-old girl and a 4-year-old boy. I also have a 5-year-old dog and my husband who's a carpenter. And so that's kind of what my job is. But what I do for a living is I'm a marketing and e-commerce executive for a national men's apparel company.
Wow, that's amazing. It sounds like you have a pretty busy schedule, having 2 young kids, a brand new house, and a very busy job at that too.
Absolutely. I always say I don't have a work life or a personal life. I just have life, and it's pretty hectic a lot of the time.
It's crazy being a working mom, isn't it? It's there's so much to juggle.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, I can't tell you how much I really appreciate you being a guest on our show. And one of the things I really wanted to talk about was your own personal experience with home staging when you sold your home. Now, the reason, again, one of the reasons why I want you to be on the show is because you yourself actually sought out staging on your own, right? It wasn't typically, a realtor would contact me directly on behalf of their client, but in your case, you sought out staging on your own. Tell me why you did that.
Well, absolutely. As someone who works in marketing and who's, been a home buyer a few times in the past, I know how important first impressions can be and how important it is to make potential buyers feel like they can live in what was once your space and now you're trying to sell it to them as their space, right? So you want to make sure that they can see themselves living in a beautiful space. So our last 3 homes have actually been new builds with developers, and it's always been the experience that I get, like the spell that I'm put under when I see the model homes and how put together they are with every detail accounted for. That's what really makes me fall in love with them. So if I could live in a house that's perfectly staged and, with never a mess, that would be amazing. But with two little kids and, a husband who's not necessarily as, has as high standards as I do when it comes to cleanliness, it's not possible.
Right.
So when it was time to put our own home up for sale, I knew of you through, some mutual friends, and that had used you in the past. And so it was definitely a no-brainer to call you up to, have you do magic on our home.
Oh, fantastic. Well, thank you for that. Thank you for that. Often what I get is that with new homes, you don't really have to do anything because everything is brand spanking new. But you, having owned your last 3 homes as new build, and you still decided that staging was important, did having a marketing background, did that have anything to do with your decision as well?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, first impressions are key, right? And especially at that time when we put our home up, like you said, I've been here now almost 2 years. So we put our home up fall of 2017. I think everybody knows what was happening in 2017 with the real estate market in Ontario. And so the market was really softening quickly. And so what we knew quite, it was very important that we put our best foot forward, because there was a lot of competition out there for people trying to offload their homes. And, but there's a lot of skepticism in the market as well. So it was really critical to make sure that we had put our best foot forward for our home.
Right. And it helped, didn't it?
Yeah, it definitely helped. I mean, like I said, the market was softening, and we ended up having an offer within 1 week, which is kind of unheard of, especially in that market. And within 10 days, we were like, all the paperwork was done. So that was really exciting for us.
Yeah, that was amazing. And if I recall correctly, you were in a market that, not just a market that was softening, but in an area where it kind of took the hardest hit, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was GTA, right? So Toronto was pretty stable, but GTA, we were in Newmarket. And so, it was definitely, it kind of just was flying 1 minute, and then the next minute it just was a standstill. So that's why when we put our house up for sale, we were expecting to be on the market for at least a month, maybe 2. So to get an offer within a week was unheard of.
Fantastic. So now tell me, did your agent at the time discuss staging with you prior, and did he or she have any sort of influence on your decision to have your house staged?
Certainly. I mean, we had discussions with a realtor. It was something that was highly encouraged, but it was not necessarily something that had to be sold to me. I knew that we had staged our houses previously, and so we knew that this was something that we had to do. So it was a no-brainer. I think staging is one of those things that it's not a nice to have, it's a must have.
Yeah. And like, obviously, this podcast is not about promoting staging, but because staging is one of the key marketing tactics, which is why I guess this podcast is focusing on that. But I just wanted for our audience's sake, because this is all about real estate marketing podcast, which is just one component of the show today. So tell me, now you are a marketing professional, marketing executive, actually. I know you can't tell us what your company's marketing budget is, but if you can just give us an approximate, whether I don't know how much you can release, maybe even a percentage of the revenue, something like that.
Yeah, no, I mean, we are a private company, but I can basically say that I do manage a multi-million-dollar budget. And, it's about, I would say, we're between 2 to 3% of revenue, total revenue sales.
Yeah, so that's a huge budget, right? Multi-million-dollar marketing budget. Absolutely. And so your company has longevity, right? It's been around for a long time.
Over 100 years, absolutely.
Oh,
it's
wow.
different iterations, but it's been around for over 100 years, which is amazing.
Yeah, and yet marketing continues to be important, even with a long-standing brand, a well-recognized brand. Marketing continues to be an important part of your business.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I think at the end of the day, no matter what you're doing, marketing plays a huge role, whether that's in your title or not. It's everyone markets at some point.
So that's a really great segue, because my next question is, like, what do you think about small business like real estate? Because generally in real estate, there's a lot of solopreneurs, right? Yeah, there are teams and whatnot, but typically a lot of solopreneurs who are who have a small business. Should they themselves plan for a marketing budget?
Sorry, so can you say that again?
So for small businesses like real estate, in your opinion, do you think that they should plan and put aside for a marketing budget?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No, yeah. I think I definitely didn't come up with this on my own, but I've heard that statement, it's not the market, it's the marketing. So if you're working in the real estate field, regardless of your role, whether you're staging, realtor, mortgage, etc., it's about getting your reputation up there, making sure that you're giving the best customer experience for your service, and then just again putting your best foot forward so you get the best first impression.
Right. So now I know that you are in the apparel business, and so there's a lot of display, merchandising and display that goes on to get the clothing to look its best in order to attract, your potential customers. Is that not correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. So I tend to think that home staging is a little bit of the window display, very similar to apparel, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Would you agree?
Yeah, I definitely agree. Yes. Yeah, as part of our marketing, my main marketing strategy is to build our brand equity by, enhancing the customer experience at every touch point. So whether that's online or in store, and we want to make sure we're building that emotional connection of the brand to the customer. So I feel like, when it comes to home staging, that's what you're doing. You're building that emotional connection to the customer so that they can have that. A lot of purchases, even though the home is like, the biggest investment in your life, typically, that is still an emotional, impulsive purchase. I know when we bought our house, because we fell in love, we bought it the first day we came to the community. Like it was definitely impulsive and emotional.
Right. Yeah. No, you put that perfectly. And which is why, when I'm instructing my real estate agents in my course, I always advise them to put aside a marketing budget, particularly for these types of reasons. Yeah, they, some of the things that are typical that they do are obviously photos. They do printed sheets, listing sheets and stuff like that. But as the market needs shift and the consumers' needs and desires shift, they need to build onto the budget so that they can afford to do the sort of the more new and innovative marketing techniques such as staging. Would you not agree?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Yep.
Yeah. So what do I have here next? So maybe we've already talked about this, but I'm going to ask it anyway. How important do you think it is to have a creative marketing plan when selling a house?
Oh, I think, like I said, it's we market ourselves every day to people, whether we know them or not, or whether there's someone we meet. So selling a house is no different to me. You want to make sure you're staging your home to put your best foot forward, which I think I said earlier, but I equate it to, like, I personally wouldn't go to work in my PJs. I wouldn't go to a party with makeup on. So the same holds true when you're selling your home, right? So you want to make sure your home has its face on, or in the case of relating it to our stores, that the windows are dressed. So when it's being presented to potential buyers, you want to make sure that, you've got the blink factor. That's what we call it.
Right.
The blink factor. It makes them turn their heads and makes them consider it. And then there's an emotional connection.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, and I really appreciate your perspective with your own business as well, because sometimes, I do get comments from other agents saying that the market is so hot, it's things are selling itself, but that's not always the case, right? And even when it's hot, it's about putting your best foot forward, and really that's some of the things that we do in marketing. So. Now, what advice would you have for agents representing sellers who are not quite sure about which marketing tactics to employ, beyond the traditional listing photos and listing sheets?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah. I'm a data-driven marketer, so I like to focus on like KPIs and key performance indicators that pave the way to decide what tactics we employ from a marketing point of view, right? So, I think if a realtor is having trouble convincing a seller to stage their home, my suggestion is to show them the numbers. Like the proof is in the pudding. So from even their own portfolio, do the homework on the homes that they ended up selling and closing. The homes that were staged, what percentage of the asking price did they get, and how long did those homes stay on the market before they sold? And then comparing that to the homes that weren't staged, because I think it'll show that the homes that were staged were not only sold at the higher percentage to asking, if not more, as well as faster in terms of days on market. So if a realtor can show that difference to a customer, a seller, I think it can be a no-brainer. It's basically, people can say opinions, left, right, and center, like, oh, everyone has an opinion, but data you can't argue. So I'm really like I said, I'm a data-driven marketer. So if you can show the numbers, it sells itself. You don't need to convince anybody.
Right. That's just amazing, and I really appreciate that perspective. What I always tell people, we live in a pretty diverse culture. And so, sometimes there are language barriers and whatnot with different clients in different markets. But I always tell people, the number speaks for itself, right? There are no language barriers when it comes to numbers, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much for joining me on this segment of our podcast. I really appreciate it. I know that I'm taking time away from your busy schedule, so I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. So thank you very much for joining us today and for helping me out. So we're going to end this segment now. I really appreciate it, Leni.
Thanks so much, Nina. Thanks for having me. I really had fun.
Okay, fantastic. Bye now.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to this latest episode of the All About Real Estate Marketing podcast. If you like this episode and the All About Real Estate Marketing podcast, don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and of course share. If you have a tactic that works well and would like to be a guest on our show, reach out to me via email. My email is in the description. If you would like to learn more about real estate marketing and staging, visit my website, also in the description, to find out when the next Staging to Sell What Every Agent Should Know class is scheduled for. Marketing doesn't have to be complicated. In fact, it's quite simple, so long as you make it all about the buyers. So until next time, take care.